What's up? Hi, The James Show. I am The James. This is the show. We are live on YouTube. Um, this is a very quick one. I promise I will do some more content that isn't live videos. That also probably doesn't cover Stephen Yaxley-Lennon, aka Tommy Robinson. But I just had to cover this story because I thought it was amazing. Because basically, Tommy Robinson, real name Stephen Yaxley-Lennon. Stephen Yaxley-Lennon, the double-barreled name. He was a businessman from Luton who ran the EDL, which turned into a massive racist street movement where people were essentially saying that all Muslims and brown people need to be kicked out of the country, and ended up getting infiltrated by the National Front and all of the sort of more kind of further to the right organised remainers of the previous sort of Nazi and fascist movements in this country, which is Britain. Anyway, so like the guy is a millionaire now. Like he's got this house in the countryside, which is like £900,000 or something along that line. She bought. And that's probably all from donation money from people that donating to his fund whilst he was in jail, and that's a lot of money. And to be fair, he was in jail for real reasons. He was standing outside courtrooms where people were getting tried for the most heinous crime of paedophilia. But what he was doing was potentially invalidating the court cases, because the law is contempt of court if you attempt to influence decisions before a decision is made in a courtroom. It collapses the whole case and they have to start all over again, or those people can walk free. So although he was sort of professing to be sticking up for people against paedophilia, he was actually potentially having them allowed back on the street. Not only that, within his own ranks in the English Defence League, which he used to run, there's been several situations of members of that organisation that have been arrested for paedophilia. So the guy is a fucking hypocrite. He's obviously just playing on people's deepest worries and insecurities about society and using that to push his own agenda, and as we can see now, to make a fuck ton of money. That's what it comes down to. And that's probably why, despite the links to the National Front and the sort of underground right-wing extremists of this country, and also being a former BNP member, Yaxley-Lennon couldn't even hold the sort of far right line against Israel, and it was admitted by the leader of the BNP that Yaxley-Lennon and the EDL did accept Israeli money. I mean, Israel have got their own agenda. They want to paint all Muslims as terrorists as well, and this is mainly so that they can continue their elongated campaign against the people of Palestine, which they want to expand into. So they're quite happy to fuel anti-Islam movements across the world. But being a real hardline, horrible Nazi, the BNP don't want anything to do with Jews, basically. So he called out Yaxley-Lennon for accepting Israeli money. So I mean, I hate it when, no, actually, I really enjoy it when people on the far right fight amongst each other about stupid stuff like that. But either way, there was a lot of money flowing Yaxley-Lennon's way, and now he went to jail again for legitimate reasons. Like, there was this horrible campaign run across the internet, like free Tommy Robinson, Tommy's innocent, all this sort of nonsense. He wasn't. Like, there was filmed evidence of him committing that crime, and he's fully aware of the laws in this country, because he had committed that crime and been arrested for it before, and was on a suspended sentence because of that crime. So he knows what that crime is. He knew what he was doing, and he got himself arrested anyway and profited quite immensely from it. I don't know if someone's advising him on how to do these things in order to milk as much currency from it as possible, but either way, that's what he's done, and now he is rich. Anyway, so the story that I wanted to cover, I mean, it's taken me almost 5 minutes to get there, but hopefully you're still on this journey with me. And it is a show after all, and it's afternoon. I mean, don't have any viewers yet, but I know these things go up and remain on my account, so you can watch it back, hopefully, once I put in a nice little thumbnail on it. Anyway, by the way, the commenter on my last video that said get out of your parents' house. It's actually my house. I say my house, it's my rented house. This is London, so no one really owns houses in London. But yeah, no, this is my house. I share with my housemates. Just a little fact, bit of trivia for you there. But like, wouldn't be a problem even if it was my parents' house. I mean, a lot of people live with their parents nowadays, especially from my generation. You know, rents, generation rents, house prices are at an all-time high, wages are at an all-time low. I mean, it wouldn't be unusual. I'm sure lots of YouTubers do live with their folks, and lots of people that aren't involved with YouTube. It's not an issue at all, as long as their parents are happy to have them there, and as long as there's a good living relationship. Anyway, let's not comment too much on that. So what happened was somebody put up some information about Yaxley-Lennon's house to expose him for the millionaire that he is, to make sure people know that even though he's pretending to be a man of the people, he is in fact a millionaire, and he's not working class in the slightest. Not that he ever was. I mean, he used to run tanning salons in Luton, so he was never part of the working class. He was always of the petit bourgeois, to use the Marxist terminology. Which means his interests are different from everyday workers, people that work in Sports Direct, in pubs, in factories, even teachers, people that have to work, that are exploited for their income, that do not get to keep 100% of the value that they create. Much like Yaxley-Lennon, who does get to keep the percentage of the wealth that his workers that work for him create. So he is essentially exploiting the working class, of which he is not a member of, because he is now a millionaire. So he is part of the rich, the wealthy class. Not wealthy enough to be the 1%, but either way, his interests are much more married to the 1% than they are to the 99%. Anyway, so someone wanted to share this information, so shared info about his house, which almost came on Twitter, which came across as sharing his address. I don't know the specifics of that. Maybe he did. I mean, he would be justified, in my opinion, sharing Tommy Robinson's address. The guy is spreading hate and toxicity and toxic ideas across our whole country, and lying to people on a regular basis about the real reasons in society, trying to blame Muslims, trying to blame Islam, when in fact we should be blaming the banks, the bosses, people like himself, and people who are trying to profit off of the financial crisis, off the back of the poor getting poorer. And what happened was that very same night, Tommy Robinson got his goons, he got his people to go to this kid who posted this information about him. They didn't go to his house, he was at university, they went to his parents' house. They drove 6 hours or something, like immediately, went to his parents' house, knocked on the door, intimidated them. And then after that, Tommy Robinson himself drove there and also came to the house. I mean, if you look on YouTube, there will be footage of this. Tommy turned up there and essentially threatened his parents if he didn't delete the not just the tweet, but the entire Twitter account, and cease and desist from trying to defame. I mean, it's very easy to defame Tommy Robinson, but anyway, if he didn't cease and desist from defaming it in this way, I say defame, I mean telling people exactly who he is and exactly what he's doing, then, it would be negative. There would be negative consequences. I mean, there might not have been violence. I mean, they might have, really intimidated them in person. I mean, turning up there is intimidating enough on their doorstep. But also, they could have doxed them. They could have handed out their details or information. They could have let the EDL hounds know where they live, and they could have ended up with bricks through the windows, harassment at work. It could have been really unpleasant for them. Like Yaxley-Lennon actually has the power to make people's lives a living hell, which I don't know if I'm a fairly small channel. Well, I don't know. Maybe that applies to me at some point. Maybe he's gonna come for me in my place. We'll see. I mean, I'll be thankful for the views anyway. So what the fuck is this mafia shit, right? So he's fucking running an intimidation racket. The guy, I don't know if he'd gone to the guy's house in university, he might have been able to sort of handle himself a bit more. He might have had some friends there. They might have had maybe a sort of a society, that could have actually stood up to Yaxley-Lennon and his goons, but they didn't. They went to his parents' house, and obviously he didn't want anything bad to happen to his parents, and obviously he knows that Tommy knows where his parents live now, so he had to delete his account. And this is messed up. So Tommy Robinson, who went on a demo this year and spoke out against people attacking free speech. This guy was sharing information on Twitter, not even like trying to get people to dox him, not showing his address, but showing people the size of his house, what his house was worth, so that they knew that he wasn't, working class, and that he was a fraud in trying to say that he was working class or trying to speak for the working classes, because you cannot speak for a class that you are not a part of in the way that he is doing. So Tommy Robinson and his goons have silenced this guy through intimidation. That is exactly what has just happened. Okay, he has attacked his free speech. He has removed this person's access to free speech. So think on that one. Think about that if you are swaying towards supporting him. And if you didn't know so much about the guy, now you know the kind of person he is, and the kind of sort of operation that he's running, and the sort of people that he has around him. The millionaire fraudster, Tommy Robinson, running an intimidation racket, stopping people's access to free speech. This is The James Show, over and out.